giving me a headache.
Yeah, tell me about it. It took the hackers months to figure out how to do this.
The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. To keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
Welcome to another Boer Republic podcast. On today's show, we have Danie Barnard joining us. Danie Barnard has made a name for himself in a rather explosive way by starting off, or at least getting the ball rolling where the hashtag Boer Testimony trend started. His sincere approach to discussing, even just revealing issues that we face in South Africa, his own personal experiences, has created a wave where others have joined in, where others have taken action and decided to add a bit of personal accuracy to the issue that we face here in South Africa. Donny, thank you for joining us for the podcast.
Thank you, Boer Republic, for having me. I'm a big fan of your podcast. I also respect what you guys do, taking a stand and starting little by little. We always think that our approaches never make a difference, but in my humble opinion, I think stuff like this is what will make it eventually turn the other way around. So thank you guys for what you guys are doing.
No, thank you very much for joining us. That's very kind of you to say. You've definitely shown not only to us, but to others around South Africa that action is just a matter of doing something, to quote the recent Nike scandal. But before
the recent My Way scandal.
Yeah, exactly. And before we really get into the brunt of the discussion, could you perhaps give us a bit of a background to yourself, why you decided to do what you did, why you decided to take a stand with the Boer Testimonies?
Okay, so I'm just a normal Boerseun from South Africa, concerned citizen like I believe many South Africans are. I think we are very divided in this country at this point of time, and it's fueled by irresponsible politicians that is doing this for their own gain. And they are literally playing games with people's lives, and it's getting to a point where it's getting dangerous. And we all know that there's so much fake media and fake news and false information. Even our South African media has fallen to that trap by virtue signaling the whole time and just not reporting the truth. And I got a lot of respect, like I said, for you guys who was taking the stand and making platforms and setting platforms up for alternative media. And I'm also a big fan of Willem Petzer. I followed Willem Petzer at a very early stage. And as my background, I also was in the film industry. We'll get to that later. And when I saw Willem's YouTube channel, I reached out to Willem and said to Willem, I've got some spare equipment that I would love to donate to him because I've got so much respect for such a young guy, only at 21 back then, but he's now 22. It was his birthday a few weeks ago. At 21, taking a stand and trying to get an alternative view out there. And obviously, we all know that Donald Trump has made a tweet, and that has basically stopped the world for that day, especially in South Africa. And obviously our mainstream media, our fake news, immediately jumped on it and tried to set the narrative again. And the reason I made that video was because of my mother. My mother's very old school. She's not very active on internet, so she still gets her information from the classical form of news, the mainstream from South Africa. And she was so positive the day when Trump tweeted, and I could see hope in her eyes. And for the first time in a long time, my mom was a bit more relaxed because, you know, women take stuff very seriously. They're very emotional. And my mom has been through so much stuff in her life. And the next day, she just read all these articles bashing, and that one black farm lady that the mainstream media has gotten to said, she basically said that the South African farmers resents Donald Trump's tweet, and we don't want anything to do with that, and we are like basically mad at Donald Trump because of that. And the look on my mother's face just made me very, very angry in a sense. And I just felt inside I must do something about this and just tell our story. And we are not special in any way. I think there's so many South Africans that has been involved in violence in this country, and not only whites, like I said in my video, all citizens. I'm just thinking, I'm seeing the bigger picture here, and I just see the dangers on the horizon, and we've gone into a very, very dangerous path in this country, and it's been fueled by irresponsible government. And I just wanted to tell my story and hopefully inspire others to stand up and speak the truth, because I will never be able to live with myself, knowing what's going on and not speaking my mind and saying stuff as it is. You have to call a spade a spade. This virtue signaling and this whole liberal narrative and mindset has got to end, because it's very dangerous, and we are moving in a communist Marxism ideologies in this country, and it's very dangerous, and it's corrupting our young children's minds and false narrative to people from overseas.
I just want to say, I mean, that is a big issue that we have, is that disparity between the news that the older generation reads and the news, as you say, that our generation needs, and it makes arguing extremely difficult, because they still read the newspapers like the Burger and that, and obviously we generally get all our news from the internet, and it's two completely different stories. Can you maybe give us a little bit of info about what was the reaction from, family members, people around you, from different people on the media, or just personal friends? And was there any sort of negative sort of a resistance or backlash to what you did? What was sort of the general experience you had afterwards?
So my mother instantly cried. She was very scared because, as we all know, in South Africa, if you speak up, there's a lot of intimidation, especially from the EFF. They like to threaten people and go to their homes, actually. They try to dox you, to get your address out on the internet for EFF members to go and intimidate you at your house. So my mom was very scared of that. My family was very, very worried, but I think they were proud of me. My older brother, Jacques, he also made a Boer testimony. It was actually him who coined the hashtag Boer testimony. So I had the idea of just a video, and then he said to me, Donny, we should actually call it Boer testimony, because that is what it is. And so he supported me in that way of also putting his face out there and making a stand and sacrificing our identity to stand up for what we believe and feel is right. The response that I've gotten from all over the world is overwhelming. I would say 98% of the comments, so many people have reached out to me. I'm probably going to be on 6 or 7 of the internet's biggest YouTube channels over the next few weeks, of people requested to speak to us. I never intended to be in the public sphere and to be an activist and talk about that, but if it needs to be done, it needs to be done. And if that tweet that I made, that video, has given us this opportunity to get these platforms, I will take one for the team, because I have a very big love for my nation, for my people, and especially for the Boer, for the Afrikaners. I'm a patriot, and I worry about all citizens in this country. And I think, like I said, we are going in a very dangerous path. And I think cool heads must prevail here, and we must think logical. But yeah, obviously I got some death threats from some EFF members, but some civil rights organizations, I don't want to name names here, they have reached out to me, their security details. So they have contacted me and explained to me stuff and security measures. And they also said to me, if there's any problems, I must just call. They will definitely come and assist me, because I live on a small holding, which is just as dangerous as a farm. And so our whole family was farmers. That is what we did. My grandfather was a farmer. He farmed with cattle. My other grandfather was a professor, the one that was murdered, that I told the story about. So he retired and went to his farm, where he eventually died due to a farm attack. And my other grandfather died of natural causes, but we didn't take over the farm because of what's going on in this country. We just don't feel that it's safe to farm. I'm not keen to do one of the most dangerous occupations in the world, which is being a farmer in South Africa. It's literally more dangerous to be a farmer in South Africa than being a soldier on the front line. So yeah, the response was amazing. I feel so humbled. We actually made up a Discord because I could not respond to every single message that I got. So I just decided to open up a Discord. Our other Discord was banned for speaking up about farm matters. So what's their name? Unicorn Ninja or something like this, or Unicorn Riot. I'm not sure. It's an Antifa group. They basically infiltrated our server and posted false messages there as themselves. And took screenshots of that and made it look like it was us. And within an hour, they took our server down. So we started a new server. We got stricter rules. We've got a lot of moderators moderating our chats. So we open for discussions and we connect on there with so many people from all over the world that try to reach out to South Africans so they can speak to South Africans directly and hear from them. As I said in the video, to spread any false information. We feel that all the evidence is there for everyone to see, so they can just literally research it for themselves and use their own due diligence and come to a conclusion. I
mean, from our side, just firstly, we want to just really honor you for your courage, and that it takes tremendous courage to do what you're doing, and we can't say how much we respect what you're doing. Firstly, secondly, I mean, it's amazing that and you're right in the sense that, we are just regular Joes in this fight to try and save our nation and save our people. And it's amazing that you have to deal with death threats and people coming to your house or the threat of that. And I mean, that's just something we want the listeners to understand. It, even though that probably makes it, it creates more fear for people to come out and, because of this that you speak, this fear that exists. Yes, this intimidation. But what that also shows, more importantly, is that the threat is so real. In that if you could just watch the Parliament last night, basically war was declared upon us, not once but twice. And it basically just shows how real this threat is. So if anyone thinks, there might be a turnaround, things might change, what you say now should really make people think and show that they will go after everyone and they are trying to shut us down. And it is as real as it gets, as you've experienced.
Yeah, I think we are at a point of no return. We will never, ever see South Africa as we used to know South Africa. They've chosen this path, and I think it's a can of worms that has been opened, and it's going to be unstoppable because the ANC followers has been made promises for decades now, since 1994. And they won't understand because it's if the ANC, like we know the ANC, it's impossible to give each and every single citizen a piece of land in this country. And that is what they are expecting. In their mindset, they are expecting a farm. Everyone think they will have their farm. And how will the government cope and manage something like this? How will they help all these aspiring farmers to get settled in and invest? Because it's not only land, you need a lot of investment, and there's a lot of planning going into a farm. It's not just literally, okay, I'm a farmer today and I will be successful. It's one of the most challenging jobs there is. That is why farmers must be respected. And to this day, I just want to ask all the people from overseas that think this is fake, just tell me how many farmers in your country gets killed. I don't know if there's any other country where farmers is killed at the rate that they are killed in South Africa. And then they tell us this is a conspiracy theory. It's ridiculous. I can't reason with people like that anymore because I live in reality. I do not narrative set by a media house. I will not obey.
Yeah, you could just say that no other country, in order to antagonize the facts about farm murders, came out with a statistic about their own country saying like, yes, our farmers get killed at this rate as well. So you guys are complaining about nothing. So just that in itself shows that we are definitely at the top of the pile when it comes to killings among farmers across the world. And it's interesting what you say with regards to the fact that the ANC, in a sense, all that they've done in the last 50, 60 years is they've created this narrative and they've driven this Marxist horrible ideology down into everyone's minds, obviously not even calling it that, and using obviously race as sort of a foundation to it. And in the end, what really has created the destruction is just the narrative. It is the narrative in the end that if you don't fight that properly, you lose in the end, because in the end, everyone's has been so brainwashed in the last 50 years, obviously the larger black populace. In the end, they will do the ANC's bidding. They will create, and as they have done, they will create the violence. And again, 90% of my interactions throughout the day with black people everywhere, it is not racist. And this is something people have to understand. But if you fuel hatred for 50 years, there's a percentage of this country that is going to act this out. And in the end, that is what the ANC has done. And that's what the EFF and what they've done. And it culminated really, I think, in last night. If you just watch what Ernst Roets did, and again, just so much respect for what he did standing on the front lines. And obviously everyone spoke about his hatred. Obviously there's a large element of the rest of Parliament projecting that onto him. And you could,
They were definitely projecting.
Sure, yeah,
And
100%
Ernst Roets hasn't said anything racist. We brought facts. They hammered. They went back to their old thing, race. They made it about race, and they hammered on one particular. Not a single one came with an argument or questioned his figures. They had Ernst Roets has been speaking of for months. They had so much preparation time. They could have gone and checked these facts and argued these facts, but not a single one came with an intelligent argument. They all went on attacking and projecting their own feelings. That is what happened. And it was very scary. I implore anybody who haven't watched it to go do yourself a favor. I think it's from 2 hours, 44 minutes in the YouTube video, the official Parliament stream. That's where Ernst Roets starts talking. It was very hostile towards him. And as well, hats off to Ernst Roets. I think he's a very brave man. And he stands his ground, and he can go to bed with a good heart and knows that he is also speaking up to facts, because we are literally living in a fantasy world with all these lies. And like you said, for 50 years, it's not even since apartheid ended, they've been bombarding the population with propaganda and blaming us for everything. I don't know if there's any other country, but I know in America it's also going like this now, that they start blaming white people, and there's a lot of white guilt going on all over the world. And I'm sorry about nothing. I have done nothing wrong to nobody. I've helped so many people in my life. I respect all people. I see it as mutual respect. You can't just get respect. If you give respect, you will get respect back. I treat every single person on a personal. I like to get people to know people before I will make a judgment. So, and unfortunately, in South Africa, the opposition do not think that way. They label us all, and they as racist white people who settlers, colonizers who came here, stole their land and committed genocide. But if you guys go and watch Tainted Heroes film that Afrikaner made, there's the facts of who done all the killings in the apartheid era. Most of the political killings was, in fact, committed by the ANC.
The emphasis on facts is something that stood out particularly in that hearing in Parliament. Specifically that Ernst Roets stood his ground, he performed honourably, and he kept on hammering that emotion is not an argument. And that's something that we agree with here at Boer Republic, is that, and I quote Ernst Roets when I say this, the facts should determine what the arguments should be. And that's the thing that one must keep in mind when one watches that Parliament hearing, is that Ernst Roets came prepared, very well prepared. He stood his ground and he simply stated the facts. He simply stated what was happening in South Africa, and that, he was essentially the proverbial, the guy who goes out and points out to everyone, listen, this ship is sinking and we need to do something now. And the way you feel about it is not going to stop the ship from sinking. And at that same time, while you're watching it, while you're going through, the one thing that stood out to me was, it's understandable that the ANC, that the members of Parliament that are affiliated with the ANC, with the EFF, with the SACP and other parties like that would stand out and say, oh, but, he's being racist, and honourable member, you are being racist. That stood out to me, it didn't necessarily stand out to me in the sense that it was unexpected. It was certainly to be expected because the Parliament is run on emotive thinking. But the one thing that is the fact that and this is where identity politics maybe comes into play, is that many other whites in Parliament also joined in the attack on Ernst Roets. And instead of joining him and saying, but listen, this guy's right, the ship is sinking, they simply went ahead and tried to curry favor with all the other occupants of the ship and said, don't worry, it'll be fine. If the ship sinks, at least we'll do it together. And that's the one thing
they
that
were
stood
virtue
out.
signaling. They chose the coward way. They were cowards. Those two people will be remembered in history as cowards. And
Yeah,
one
it was-
thing
there was
those
two guys and a
must
woman.
remember,
Yeah, it was
nothing lasts forever. This
and-
will turn around one day. If it's in our lifetime or in our second or third generation's lifetime, those two fools will be remembered as cowards, because that is what they are. They had the chance there to stand up, side with facts, but they chose to side with feelings and virtue signaling.
Yeah, they were
They are
absolute
cowards. I have no
cucks.
respect for those people.
Definitely. And that's the other important point to make, is if you virtue signal, you've got, and this is where we all, as just average Joes, as people of South Africa, this is where we should stand up and say, but obviously what these guys are doing is capitalizing on emotion. This is where we should all come together and say, but okay, let's honestly talk about the facts. Let's honestly come together and say, but okay, is this true? Is that true? And Ernst Roets brought up many, many points in his discussion or in his speech that can be verified. It can be verified from many sources. So, like you say, they did not do their due diligence. It was just on emotion. And on Boer Republic's side, if Ernst Roets, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show to have your perspective on the matter, because we support you very, very much in this regard. Specifically, that we can only imagine how much crap you have to put up with on each day, and you stand up for us. Whether or not those who you stand up for agree with you, whether or not those who you stand up for want to side with you, you still stand up for them, because unfortunately the color of your party is on your skin. Ernst Roets, you are doing amazing work, and I take my hat off to you.
Not once have I heard Ernst said that he's totally against this, but he said we also believe in redistribution, but let's do it factually and historically correct. That was what he said. And that triggered them so much so that they decided to go their old route, because they know what is the real history of South Africa just as much as Ernst. But they are trying to control the narrative and try and spread the propaganda and lies that we came here and stole everything, which is, I'm tired of that. I won't even listen to that anymore. I don't care if somebody calls me a racist anymore. I've been called a racist my whole life. People if they do not agree with you, they'll label you as a racist or whatever. I'm over that stuff. I think most South Africans are over that stuff. I like facts. I like history, and that's what I will guide my judgments towards. That will govern my judgments. I won't listen to a false or fake narrative.
No, just my take on last night. The feeling I had watching it is that it is basically one big distraction. And again, I agree with you. I take my hat off to guys like Willem Petzer and Ernst Roets. But don't you get that feeling that they are basically, arguing against the wall or a light bulb? It actually makes no difference. And it gives me this feeling that it's something innate, maybe in us, maybe in the way we were brought up, maybe with, part of sort of the Christian upbringing of Afrikaners. It is this thing that we try and be more factual. We try and approach everything out of the point of an argument. But to understand that we are up against sort of something where arguments are not going to change anything. Whether we're right, whether we're factually right, it doesn't make a difference. In the end, it's going to come to they are going to use their power to take everything from us. And, this is all a sideshow. It was completely laughable. It was comical. It was childish. Everything last night is an absolute disgrace to think our tax money goes to people like that who sit there and talk absolute rubbish and fight about words. And I think why was sort of a blind Stevie Wonder was sort of the moderator of the whole thing. Who sits there with his dark shades on? It's ridiculous. It's a joke. It's something out of, I don't know, some kind of rap.
There's no reasoning with a communist. There's no reasoning with a communist. They do not want to reason. They do not want to hear the other side out. They have already made their minds up. This whole hearing is just for the show. They already made their minds up what they want to do. And
that's again, like, especially that's what I really want to get across here. And especially this one is people have to look at this and see it is, I can't see a better declaration of war from their side. The way that they reacted to Ernst and the way that the one MP said, you have hardened me in my thinking, meaning the more facts you bring, the more, and he basically declared war on whites. And for me, if any white person obviously said any of that, it would have been all out chaos. And I woke up this morning feeling as if I'm waking up to war. And every day for the next couple of years, I don't know, maybe decades, I will feel like I'm at war until everyone is safe.
I think a lot of people are losing faith, but I think we must just trust in the word of God and believe that it will work out in the end. I just don't hope there's a big war breaking out. It looks more likely of that happening. But the scary part is what first the first thing that will most likely happen is our economy will collapse. We're already in a recession. Luckily, I'm very invested in cryptocurrency. I'm a firm believer in that. I was in the TV industry. I worked as a producer, but the whole clique there, they are all liberals, virtue signaling the whole time, and I can't sell my soul. I will stand for what I believe in, and that was the best decision that I made in my life, to cut that whole industry out of my life and focus on cryptocurrency and helping other South Africans safeguarding their financial security. Our rand, we will probably be paying between 10,000 and 5,000 rand for bread if things continue as it's going. And obviously, where will they come and look for bread? Because the ANC told them we all wealthy, we rich, we stole everything. So that's the thing. That's what it's going to be civil unrest everywhere if that happens. And we are a lot bigger than Zimbabwe. It's going to be on a much larger scale. But we are fortunate in a very weird and sick way that we had Zimbabwe. So we know exactly what's coming. We can see exactly, but this is going to be on a much bigger scale because our economy is a bit more advanced. We have more white people in this country. We have more farmers in this country. And we already seen this over the years. There's a major brain drain. Most of our clever people, and that's people of all races, try to get out of this country because they are not idiots. They see the writing on the wall. They try to get out here. They want to give their children a future. And they see there's no future in South Africa.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you hit it on the head. And I especially Zimbabwe in the last few months, as they had obviously another fake election and got a new tyrant in. And they actually have Bitcoin exchanges, crypto exchanges actually sprung up in the capital. I think they have more than one. And I feel the same. Obviously, I think crypto is a definite godsend. It's something that the free market creates when it's pushed into a corner. And I really felt that Zimbabwe had the chance because obviously their currency was destroyed, and there was literally a chance for them to start a new country, a new economy with cryptos, but obviously due to control in central banks in Zimbabwe, that has not taken off.
I remember they banned it. They banned the cryptocurrency exchanges there, but they had a court case and they actually overturned the ban. Yeah. So I'm happy for those people because obviously there's a currency crisis and crypto is the perfect substitute for that. I won't advise people to put all their life savings in crypto. Obviously, it's still a young market. It's very volatile. Until the market cap gets bigger and settles down, it won't be as easy for, as they call them, whales to manipulate the price. And it will steady. It will be a nice, it will have its fluctuations, but not as extreme as we are experiencing now. But you're better off in crypto at the moment than in the rand. The rand is just as volatile, if not more. But obviously diversify, just definitely not property. Don't put any money in property. Just rather put it in gold and silver and crypto. But the only thing, the drawback to like metals, for me personally, it's a very big security risk to keep it safe. It's heavy. It's not efficient. Where cryptocurrency is way more efficient. It's light and you can literally go anywhere in the world and have your money in your pocket. You literally have your bank, your own bank, and you have it in your pocket.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, if we just look across the whole world economy in the last few months, there has been a lot of emerging markets that have started to really show signs of collapse. And, you could just look at Argentina and Turkey, which in the last year has lost up to 40 to 50% against the dollar. And I think in Argentina, their interest rates have gone up to 60%, 60, which is absolutely insane. And I can see the same happening to us because, again, I don't see how we are different from them with regards to us being an emerging market. Maybe we've got a bit more support from China, but in essence, I literally see it happening end of this year or next year. And I agree with you 100%. Heavy metals is the way to go and have 5 to 10% cryptos ready to go and ready to transfer quickly. I agree 100%.
In a hypothetical, let's say, for instance, the ANC continues with this extreme policies and America starts sanctioning us and they kick us out of SWIFT, which is the intermediate banking network. What will people then do? That's why crypto is important because you can send money to anywhere in the world within a second. So people must just keep that in the back of their mind. That is normally one of the favorite sayings they use is to kick a country out of SWIFT.
No, 100%. I mean, my thinking wasn't, tell me if you think this is correct. I was thinking you do need a large percent of your money in physical gold or silver, and try to keep a good stash of cash with you, because as you say, one time then you're not going to be able to get into your bank account. Keep as little as the amount of money in your bank account, obviously, to do basic trading and pay off your mortgage and these things if you still have one, and then have a lot of cryptos handy and obviously interchangeable as it goes up and down, so that you can actually buy your day-to-day things. In the end, I think it's a good idea if you can get to a point where you can buy your daily things in crypto or in physical cash.
Yeah, people who have family members who travel overseas on holidays and stuff, they must ask those family members to bring some of that foreign currencies in cash, hard cash, and stash some dollars and euros away. If things really go south here, that they at least have that fallback if they do not trust crypto yet. But again, do your own due diligence, go read up about cryptocurrency and see the bigger picture. I'm a big fan of it. So as I mentioned, that's my full-time job now is cryptocurrency, distributing mining hardware, and also developing a new terminal. It's a startup that we started, CryptoLink. So it's basically going to be a terminal which allows any shop to buy, sell, and accept crypto. And the machine itself will also be able to generate hardware wallets like a debit card, but it will work with NFC, near field communication. So people can buy anything and just tap that card at any terminal. But yeah, with what's going on in the country, I'm considering it, and my shareholders is also considering moving it out of the country, because it's just too big of a risk to set up a company in South Africa at the moment with the rand that's busy collapsing and losing value by the day. So that's what the ANC doesn't understand. There's big businesses that will leave this country, negative impact on our economy and every South African's daily lives, and it's big tax money that's going out of this country, people that would have paid big taxes.
We did a documentary on Irania a few months ago, and it's fascinating what they're doing with their currency. And they've also created a e-aura. They're also trying to make their own currency called the aura into their crypto, which I obviously think is a great idea. And if they can even gold back that, then that would be the strongest currency in Africa quite soon. Just from a personal point of view, if you mind sharing, and again, we talk about this a lot, about when to leave. Again, obviously, it is very difficult, such a difficult decision, especially if you have children and you want to give them a future, especially if you're starting out a business. What is sort of your mindset and approach with regards to when do you leave? Are you setting up a backup plan to leave? Do we fight? Because I do feel, and again, this is probably my optimism talking, or probably my hope, my bias in that sense, is that we know where this is going. There is a point where the country has to separate, as it did many years ago, and we're going to have to form our own small country. And I just see that this is, especially with cryptos that have come up, there is this opportunity. I don't think we'll probably have a better opportunity to do it, in a sense, because we can create sort of a parallel economy from which we can rebuild, and that we can't be, obviously it's very difficult and it's in its infancy. But just give me your personal kind of take, if you may, and how do you approach this question of do you immigrate, do you stay and fight?
I think the problem is a lot of us, especially Afrikaners, we are very close with our families. So family is everything in where I'm coming from. I can't speak for every single Afrikaner out there, but I'm just speaking in my personal capacity. So for me, my mother and my aunt is all that I have left. My grandfather's passed away. My dad passed away. My grandmother's passed away. So I can never leave them behind, They are over the age to legally immigrate. So the only way for me to get them to safety is to literally get an investor's visa. So to move a company and employ people in another country, and there I can try to sponsor my family. And so obviously if nobody in this country, no Afrikaner that I know wants war. I don't think any of us wants war. There's no real winners in wars. It's going to be an ugly thing for this country, and we don't need that. I fully agree with you. I think the most reasonable approach could be, in a perfect world, to have our own part of the land and that we can rule and govern ourselves, have our own security forces, have our own police force to look after our people, and to that we can live out and practice our own religion and have our own culture, because they're killing our culture. The Afrikaans has been under attack for so many years. They're killing it in schools, in universities, everywhere. It's very anti-Afrikaner, anti-white. So we are enemy number one, the Afrikaner and the Boer. We are enemy number one. Then the English South Africans are enemy number two. Even the Indians are enemies to them. The colored people from mostly the Western Cape, Northern Cape, they just don't like anybody. Look at what they are doing with foreign Africans that come into the country. Then those very violent xenophobia attacks. It's just South Africans need to reflect and take a hard look at themselves and wake up, because they think they are above everyone else. They think, and that's also one thing, the ANC is very scared of what the outside world is thinking or thinking of them. Look how personally they took it when Ernst Roets and Kali Kriel went to the United States on their tour. But why do they only attack Ernst Roets? The Vryheidsfront is always also doing that. They are raising awareness overseas in European countries, because they have tried to reason with the government on many occasions, but the government are stubborn. They do not want to listen. So what other options that AfriForum and Vryheidsfront and all the other civil rights organizations had than to go overseas and reach out to the international community? But yeah, I think cryptocurrency, back to that point, sorry guys, I'm jumping around, but yeah, back to that point, I think cryptocurrency, everything has worked out perfectly, and we set it up right. It can definitely work. And I think Oranje will be very successful if they change their currency to a digital currency. The whole world is moving in that direction, to a cashless society. If there's no more cash, do you imagine all this cash and transit robberies will virtually disappear? So there's very nice positives, but it's dangerous if it's in a bank's in a centralized hands, because people get greedy, and if they control everything, they can add as many numbers to that as they like. But the beauty about cryptocurrency is it's decentralized and it's a public ledger, so there's no bullshitting each other. Everything is recorded on there, and it's the real deal. So yeah, crypto is the way to go. I hope in the future we can have our own currency, and a digital form of our currency would be backed by crypto in a decentralized way, the way it should be done.
No, we couldn't agree more. We're big fans of decentralization. We think that's one of the few ways in which you can maintain control of your own interests in many respects, especially from those greedy bankers. The other thing that we think we should start is something, we should call it perhaps Boer coin or Republiek coin or something like that, and start something that South Africa can invest in. I think
I will immediately add that currency to my terminal. If there's a Boer coin or a Afrikaner coin or a whatever coin, I would definitely support that 100%.
We should call it something like the Delaray or something, something that would inspire confidence in our finance.
Or the Kruger coin, or we can call it the Kruger coin.
Oh, that's actually a much better one. If there's someone listening to this that can make it happen, let us know. Let's make it happen. The one thing that I sort of want to get back at is you mentioned, that Afrikaners, whites, are the enemy, especially in the eyes of the ruling parties, I should say, the most populous parties. AfriForum is a cultural organization. We've got other organizations that act in our interests, as not only as Afrikaners, but as whites. We've got Solidarity. We've got, and most of them are cultural organizations because they aren't allowed political representation. Most of the cases. I mean, we've got Vryheidsfront Plus, but we've got few political parties.
Please don't name Agri SA, because they
no.
Colours. Don't name them.
That's no cultural organization.
They are like those two cowards in the Parliament. They sold us out. They are also cowards who virtue signaled. They chose money and power over right and what is right and what is true. So I don't have any respect for Agri SA, and I don't think any farmer or boer will trust them ever again. They shot their own foot.
No, by all means, I don't think. I think they actually just traded in for a pat on the back and nothing more. I don't even think there's even proper financial reward for that. You know, we have very few political parties that act in our interest. We've only got cultural organizations. That being said, it's made a huge impact. And we've seen how everyone is quick to jump out and say, but they don't represent me. They don't stand for me. How can you say that? So then the next question becomes, does this mean we are divided as a people, as Afrikaners, as Boers, as white South Africans, and we taking on, or we including what would be defined as the English-speaking or the more British, so-called more British South Africans, the Mediterranean descent South Africans, other European descent South Africans. You know, does this mean that we are ultimately divided, or do you think there's hope for us as a unified group?
I think there's definitely hope. I can see alone in our own Discord, there's so many English people coming on there, and they also agree with AfriForum. And I think AfriForum has gotten more fans now than ever before from all cultures and languages in this country. There's so many English people who's also siding because they aren't stupid. They aren't idiots. They can see what's going on, and they see that AfriForum is only speaking facts. Imagine if AfriForum has lied. If they ever caught AfriForum out in a lie, you'll never hear the end of it. They would have run that headlines every single day. But they can't do that. So then they go to make up false stuff, and that keeps on failing. They are falling in the same trap as the US fake media has done. That's why Trump got elected, because he was 24/7 on their lips. They had like an obsession. I think they are secret fans of Trump. And I think our fake news, Adrian Basson is a secret admirer of Ernst Roets. I think he's got a poster of Ernst Roets in his room, because that's they are giving them more advertising than ever before. And people aren't idiots. They can fool some liberals, but they won't fool people with an open mind. So they must continue, because they are actually helping AfriForum.
Yeah, I think that image you just created of Adam's post newsroom, you should send that to Germ and he can make a nice cartoon about it.
But that's the thing. I wonder. That's the thing. I wonder if they really know what sort of effect they have. If they know anything about just basic human psychology, they'd know that the more attention they bring on something, the more they'll actually bring it into reality. And you mentioned,
so
rightly so, with Donald Trump.
And everyone knows what's going on, so they're thinking and they're putting two and two together and see, well, AfriForum is actually the only people who's looking after us as a whole. They know what the consequences. They know what the consequences will be of economical collapse. We don't want to pay 5,000 rand a bread. You know, we like the idea of this first world, of our world-class banking infrastructure and all that stuff, but that won't last if they continue to do what they are doing. This path that they are on now is going to create that scenario. It's going to be exactly like Zimbabwe. That is why everyone is saying Zimbabwe 2.0. So, and all the liberals and virtue signaling guys, I would just want to wish them good luck living in that reality. They would be the first ones jumping on a plane out of this country. When that happens.
Yeah, day of the rope. Or should we go for helicopter rides? The audience can decide.
Yeah, they'll.
Well, at least with 5,000 rand breads, at least they'll stay gluten free for a long time, which they all want.
But I wonder if the hipsters know everything is going to go up. The iPhones, their iPhones is also going to be priced at like 100,000, maybe 2 million. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's when it's cool.
Everything will be going up except their man buns. But yeah,
if we will ever get iPhones in the country or whatever. So they love the capitalist idea. They love the capitalist lifestyle, should I say? But they think they know the communist ideas. It's a very foolish mistake that they are making. I always laugh at some of the liberals. I do not want to name names, but that calls themselves celebrities in this country. They are making fools of themselves.
We really want to know, and this is something we are very passionate about, is we are looking for something that could create unity amongst our own people. Now, in the past, and maybe this is a repeat of history, I'm not sure, but in the past you had the Black Consciousness movement during apartheid, and it was this cultural invigoration of Black identity, of identity within individuals and as a collective, to strive for something, to be part of something greater. Like I say, I wonder if this is history repeating itself. Should we not then strive for something similar? perhaps something akin to Afrikaner consciousness. And that being said, I mean, the moment you say white consciousness, then this image of KKK hoodies and things like that start coming up, or even, the misconceptions about Southern heritage in the USA. My question is then, what can we do to strive towards Afrikaner consciousness?
I just think we should not worry what they think about us anymore. I think we should just do what we do, and I think we should believe in what we do. Just take it from there, and the people will come. Build it, and they will come. People that think like we are thinking, that wants peace, that loves our culture. That's not only Afrikaners English, and that's not only Afrikaans English. That's black people, that's colored people, that's Indian people. There's, how many conservative Indians there is. People with common sense. And I think those people, I feel for them as well, because they are also in a minority, and they also get bullied in this country. And I agree what you're saying. I think all these groups of people should stand up and make a stand for themselves. Because if you're going to allow them to walk over you, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, because they get more comfortable and comfortable and comfortable at what they are doing, and it will get more extreme until we put up a resistance and say, soos hulle in Afrikaans sê, tot hier toe en nie verder nie.
Yeah, that's true. The line in the sand should have actually been drawn a very long time ago.
Yeah, because we allow them to do too much, and okay, sorry, apartheid, jammer.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
We've given too much.
And the white guilt, and nobody had anything to do with apartheid. It was a government. And obviously there was some police officers and army officers who abused their powers and did that stupid stuff. But that's not everyone. And again, go look at the documentary, go look at the history, go look at facts, but they do not like to look at. ANC was involved in most of the political killings. They were the ones who burned people alive and that evil stuff, not us. And I don't hear Afrikaners playing the victim. We were in our concentration camps before Jewish people. We lost so many women and children. Do you know how many generations that could have spawned off to? 20,000 women and children died in concentration camps. Imagine we had to be victims the whole day. How pathetic that must be. But at least I know Afrikaners are proud people and strong people, and that we will never play the victim game. I am very, very happy we are not victims, that we will make a stand and build something again.
Yeah, that's the important thing. Is Ernst Roets even mentioned that in his speech, is a historical tie to the Boer concentration camp. Now, my great-great-grandfather a few generations back, died in the concentration camps. So I've got a personal history in that line, but you don't see me claiming reparations or creating my own Holocaust memorial. Perhaps I should, but
I think all Afrikaners who lost family members in the concentration camps should all bring a class or a lawsuit against the UK government and demand money from them for that. We must do what they are doing now. They must all band together, get a lawyer, and sue them and say, "Come on, pay up. It's time to you repay us."
Directly from Theresa May.
And while you're at it, give me some land. I want land in Buckingham Palace. That's mine.
I personally don't want land there, because then I have to wake up 5 o'clock every morning to the Muslim call. So no, thank you. And I can't buy knives. I can't buy knives there anymore.
We'll rent it out. We'll
play Schoffel Reeks 9 louder than any other Muslims can pray.
So as we wind down here, what other practical solutions can you suggest for our current dilemma?
I think the first step is honest. People mustn't be scared anymore. People must just wake up and smell the coffee and speak out. Because the more we speak out, they can't silence us all. We are all doing this. We are all in this together. So let's stand together and speak up. And if there's other people who have stories, please do a Boer testimony. Hashtag that. Tag me on Twitter, Willem Petzer, Conscious Caracal. There's many of us online, and we will all retweet and signal boost you guys. And come to our Discord. Everyone's welcome there. We do ban trolls and liberals and soy boys. They are the only ones who are not allowed. But anyone's allowed on there, and it's all intellectuals on there. It's people having nice discussions. It's so refreshing to talk to people with ideas, and we don't even talk about what's happening. The conversations always spurs off, and we share so many knowledge with each other, and it's really fun. So I think the first step is honesty. People need to be honest with themselves, and they do not need to fear the intimidation no more from the mob. Just stand up and what you believe for, and more will follow, and speak up, speak out of what is going on, because I think that is the first step. We do not know, we do not have a crystal ball. We all wish that it was the other way, but it's reality now. And the longer you guys wait, the harder it's going to get. So just stand up now. It's already beyond the point of no return. So you might as well do it now.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, and I agree with you 100%. And people always think, do they have to start something? Do they have to start a podcast? Do they have to give a testimony? And I think where it all starts is it starts with your inner circle of friends. I think it's a lot of people that have been self-censoring a lot, and in the end, when chaos erupts, the only thing you really have is the people around you. Your money, nothing will really save you but the people around you. And if the people around you are genuine Afrikaners at heart, people who have your best interests at heart and the best for our people, then you'll be safe. And so I think it starts at the braais. It starts at the dinner table. It starts, when you're watching rugby, try and throw in what you think, see how people feel. And I've experienced that personally. Again, we've done an Irania documentary, and it was a great experience for me. And if I share it, the responses you get tells you a lot about who's going to stand with you. So I think it starts there.
Yeah, and I just want to ask people, do not be cowards like those two guys in Parliament. Don't virtue signal, because that's not going to turn you black. You're still white and they will still hate you. And don't fear the intimidation. And look at today's what's happening. If people, companies will fire you and they will boycott you, let them do it. We will build ourselves up again. We are not victims. And don't fear that stuff. And don't do illegal stuff, obviously. Just don't say words that's apparently illegal in this country, and don't do stupid stuff, but speak the truth and never fear intimidation. Because the more we are doing this, the movement will be just to be in silence. So yeah, I don't want people to get in trouble or to get hurt or anything. So also use your brains. Yeah, speak up and talk to your family about this stuff. Talk to your friends about this stuff. Join Discords. Set up your own Discord server. It's very easy. You can set up a Discord server literally in minutes, and get your friends engaging and sharing ideas and trying to find solutions. Let's not stoop on their level and blame them for everything and play the blame game. Let's find solutions.
I just also want to mention a Boer Republic public service announcement. When using Discord, ladies and gentlemen, try and make sure you've got a VPN. Try and make sure you are using as much anonymity as possible. Discord is not your friend when you are right thinking for various reasons. So please keep that in mind.
It's owned by SJW, so just know that. But like in our Discord, everyone, we have a nice disclaimer there. We have rules and everything. And like I said, if anyone breaks the rules, we just kick them out. And we don't say stuff. I don't say stuff on Discord that I won't say in public or won't say on your podcast. I'm a genuine person. I speak my mind. So I won't do illegal stuff. And that's why we make our Discord public and open, because everyone on there is normal people like me and you. We are not these evil right-wing Nazis as the media tries to portray us. We are normal people with brains that see what's happening is dangerous, and we do not like and agree to what is happening and the course we are taking in South Africa.
Oh, we couldn't agree more. So, Donny, any future plans that you might have? You've mentioned a bit of a move towards self-sufficiency and establishing your own company and doing your own work for yourself, which you get our Boer Republic stamp of approval. Any other future plans, especially in terms of your accidental activism, if I can put it that way?
Of course, now that it's there and the video went viral and a lot of people re-uploaded it on Facebook and they re-uploaded it on YouTube, and it got about 3 million views now in total. So out of that, there's so many big YouTube conservative channels that have reached out to me from all over the world. And I can't let this opportunity pass, even though I haven't had no intention to ever be in the like an activist or anything. But like I said in the beginning, I believe in my people and I care for my people. So I'll take one for the team and put my face and name out there and stand up for what I feel is right and what I believe in is right. But for now, I'm just focusing on my company. I'm the CEO of CryptoLink, is the startup which focuses in the cryptocurrency space. And if anybody wants to find out more about cryptocurrency, I love to help people. Get in touch with me on Twitter or join our Discord. I'm on there a lot of times. You can have a voice chat with me. If you don't want to talk in front of everyone, we can go to a private room. I can give you some tips and advice as best as I can. I'm no expert. I'm just very experienced in it. But yeah, I'm just going to focus on my company and try to help as many people as I can and give jobs to as many like-minded people as I can. And I would also love to help the squatter camps, the Afrikaner squatter camps. I feel those people are being overlooked, and I just hope that we're successful with our company, and I will surely donate a lot to them and try to help those children there, maybe pay for their school fees and get those kids after school and teach them about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Hopefully we can find our next Elon Musk camps, and that kid can basically change the world.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. That's actually quite admirable. And we thank you very, very much for all your effort, not only in raising awareness of the situation here in South Africa, but also in just being honest, being open and genuine. And that goes a very, very long way. Thank you for joining us in the podcast, Donny.
Thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate your time so much. And you have an open invitation to come on again. Please, we must do this again. I think we are on the cusp of a lot of change here in South Africa. And I think your commentary would be quite insightful in the future. So please come on again.
Yeah, of course, guys, whenever. And if you guys, there's so many anonymous emails that you can set up. So if you guys are keen, set up an anonymous email, join Discord and come chat with us on there. We would love to have you guys on there, and there the ideas flow. We've, like I said, we've got some very intellectual people on there from all walks of life. We've got people from all over the world. It's US, Europe. You guys won't believe how much love there is for the Boers and the Afrikaner overseas. So don't let the fake news fool you. People know who we are, and they know what we stand for, and they know we are good people.
Thank you so much for joining us, Donny, and we look forward to next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to another Boer Republic podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And if this message resonates with you, please spread it as far as you can. Your support is appreciated. Any feedback is encouraged, and we look forward to engaging with you on our various social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter, gab.ai, minds.com, Steemit, YouTube, DTube, BitChute, and PewTube, as well as on wrongthink.net. We update as regularly as we can, so please follow us and reach out to us. Until next time, stay safe wherever you may find yourself.